Right, thank you very much, Bobie. So we are currently here at the Food and Drugs Authority, and I'm going to be talking to the Director of Legal and Corporate Affairs, is Mr. Joseph Yao Benny, on how, the FDA came into all this, how the information got to them, and where we are currently.
Okay, we had the information late last night on, I think, on our social media platforms. We realized people were posting these messages that there's been suspected or alleged food poisoning. They've been to Marwako, they've taken some meals, some of them have been admitted to the hospital, some of them are handling it on their own. So this morning, we immediately went into action, sent a team to the facility together with our colleagues from the other agencies, especially the Metropolitan Institute Assembly, the environmental health officers, and then we sent another team to the hospitals that were mentioned to also find out what the situation is.
What were some of the initial findings that you gathered?
Okay, when we went to the hospitals, we found out that the persons on admission complained that they ate from Marwako. They developed some issues, so they reported to the hospitals. And we also engaged the healthcare personnel there as part of the investigation to allow us to have full control of the place and to avoid any interferences. The first step is to close down the place so that we can have one. So the place was shut down, the East Legon branch, immediately. Our lab analysts and our other officers went in there, took samples, and they are still investigating. We are looking at a whole range of issues. When it happens like that, a whole range of issues. We are looking at storage, we are looking at purchasing practices, we are looking at how food is cooked, how food is served. All those issues come into play. So it's a whole process that we have to take our time to go through.
Now the branch is closed down. What next?
Let me just add that 2 more branches have been closed.
Which ones?
The Abelingo branch and the lab branch have also been closed down as part of our investigations.
Right, so is this 2 branches that have been closed in connection to what has happened?
Based on what we found on the ground, which I may not be able to speak to immediately, it was necessary to close down those 2 facilities as well.
But in the meantime, per your investigations, have you recorded any cases of any unfortunate incidents coming from these 2 other branches?
Not yet, but because of the relationship and the mode of practice of the entire restaurant, the whole organization, it was necessary to close them because there were some exchanges between those 2 branches and the East Legon branch.
So now what next? Especially with the
ongoing.
Okay.
We've taken samples, like I said.
How long would an investigation like this normally take?
It shouldn't take less than 7 days because of the lab. Okay. You need to culture the samples, look out for microbial contamination and things like that. So you give yourself about 7 days. There can be preliminary results, but you want to have final results, it shouldn't take you less than 7 days.
Now, in an instance where you establish that, for instance, Marwako did not do due diligence in, for instance, with storage, for instance, with food preparation and all that, what is going to happen?
You can caution. You can, like we've done currently, put a hold on production and sale of whatever food is there. 2, you can administer what we call administrative charges. You can even prosecute based on the findings. But most importantly for us, you need to ensure that the facility gets to a level that it can reopen. Okay. That is very critical for us. So we need to go through the processes again. Whatever findings we have, you need to take the whole institution through a training program. Review their SOPs, that's standard operating procedures, look at their practices, pinpoint to them areas that they need to improve. Once these are established and we are convinced, then we can go back and ask that they start operations. But there will be some sanctions, like I said, it could come in any form.
What are your own measures, that have been put in place to check that we do not record some of these things?
What happens is that we have an inspection regime that facilities that have been licensed, at least once every year, there is an inspection. We cannot, looking at the number of food service establishments that we have, do more than that. Once a year minimum, we do audits of those facilities.
So when was the last time the FDA visited Marwako?
I will need to check that with the food. This is a very vital question. I need to cross-check with the food division.
Thank you very much, sir.
Most welcome. We are grateful.
Right, so I've been talking to Mr. Benny. He is the Director of Legal and Corporate Affairs, Food and Drugs Authority. This is the City Newsroom. Bobia is still out there. Bobia, what's happening?